Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. It's a Sunday. I know everyone has.
Good evening.
Good evening. I know most of us are in. Basically, everyone here have committed time to be part of this event. Apologies, I've gone very deep voice. Yesterday, I decided to go out with a few friends to actually call it party, but to have a good time. And the time took a better part of me, and I'm trying to get my voice back. Hopefully, everyone should be able to hear me. I'm going to try and share my screen so that we can kick on with the activity of the day. Just a minute. Okay.
Okay, quick one. Sorry. All right, guys, please, as we proceed, do well to drop your questions in the comment section, and do well to drop your points and any comments in the comment section. Thank you so much. Sorry about that. Over to you, sir.
That's fine. So can you see my screen? Can you see my slide?
Yes, we can see it.
All right, great. So hopefully I will aim to ensure that in 30 minutes this is done, and also ensure that I'm able to share as much useful information that I feel the team needs to have and every participant needs to have. When Prince spoke to me a few days ago, actually I think up to a week now, about presenting in this conference, I find it a privilege to honor his invitation, being the father he is, someone that is useful to our organization, has been part of our process. And at the same time, I always find every opportunity to speak to nurses. I guess everybody in this platform are nurses or aspiring nurses, to be able to help them become better at what they do and to obviously become useful stakeholders. Okay, the theme of the whole program, remodeling the 21st century nurses as stakeholders for the contemporary global economy. You know, when I first saw this topic, I said, oh, well done, Prince. Sometimes it's not only other healthcare professionals that are good at making some kind of topic. Just a minute, I'm at home, and let me try and get my kid away from this distraction. Just 1 minute, please. Just a minute, sorry.
It's okay, take your time.
Apologies, it's a Sunday, so sometimes it's difficult to stop them from coming to the spare room. So now, when I saw this topic, I looked at it as something that is very crucial at this time, something that is in demand, something that is useful to discuss, and something that we obviously keep on discussing, because it's very useful that nurses become stakeholders in the current and the future global economy. When you first hear of the word remodeling, what comes to mind? Before the word remodeling can exist, it means there was something existing before. It means there was a model, there was something, there was a structure. And that structure is not serving purpose, and that structure is not meeting the expected, providing the expected outcomes. And because of that, then that particular structure, I'm talking about from a technical perspective now, that structure needs to be remodeled to meet a particular need. So remodeling the 21st century nurse, in other words, it means there is a nurse that have existed before, there is a pattern, a strategy, a way a nurse have functioned before in the past, and now there is a need for them to be remodeled so that they can become stakeholders for the global economy. When you hear of the word stakeholders, for those of us that are good with entrepreneurship, for those of us that have owned companies, you realize that shareholders and because stakeholders of a company, and everyone that is associated to helping that company achieve its aims and objectives. You could have stakeholders, and at the same time, you have stakeholders who have different stake in the business. The question will be, have nurses been stakeholders? Are nurses currently stakeholders in the global economy? Yes, they are. But the question is their voice being heard? Are they stakeholders that are kind of recognized as the stakeholders that are making meaningful contribution to that is necessary to effect change or to have an impact when it comes to the world economy? I had a young guy coming to me a few weeks ago. I do a lot of mentorship for young entrepreneurs, like what was shared in the screen a few minutes ago. Nurses who wants to be entrepreneurs in the UK, and have been able to build over the years close to about 58 nurses who have become nursepreneurs. So one of the questions the last guy had, I think the guy before the last one I mentored, one of the questions he came to me was, Dr. Malvis, I've seen so many things that you've done. I've actually realized that it's a pathway I want to go, but what do I need to do to be relevant? What do I need to do to be that nurse that holds a stake in the economy now and in the future? And the simple word I say to him is, you need the X factor. For those of us that are good with music, there was this TV show years ago. I think, I'm not even sure if it's still hold now. Sorry, I'm not very good at watching TV. It used to be something I used to do. So if the X Factor still hold, I'm not even sure. But the X Factor was a TV show where people come with a music talent, and you have judges who overly judge them and find out those who have something different. And at the end of the day, those people who have something different are then put forward as winners. And at the end of the day, are promoted to become a useful asset to that company that was running the show. So I spoke to this young man. I told him, if you're going to be useful for the future, you need the X factor as a nurse. So why do you need the X factor? We are talking about an economy that is global. When you talk about global, it means there are so many people playing in that economy. You've got people who before now are already recognized stakeholders. Ordinarily, when you mention healthcare profession and you mention a doctor or a nurse, you don't expect the community to automatically provide the same respect to doctors the same way they provide to nurses. It's not just in Nigeria, it's the same everywhere in the world. Doctors are naturally seen as higher stakeholders in the economy, even in the healthcare, not just doctors and maybe other professionals or other personnel. So now the question is, if I'm a nurse and I want to be a stakeholder, not just a stakeholder, but a main stakeholder when it comes to the economy of the world now and the future, what do I need to do? So that's where I actually came up with a phrase that you need to have the X factor. So this event or this presentation is going to be a bit of me talking about how I've succeeded in what I did. It's going to be very practical, telling you about real life scenarios. I'm not here to tell you definitions and tell you stories that don't exist. I'm here to be very practical with what has worked for me and also what I've worked for my colleagues who are doing well in the field and currently main stakeholders, not just stakeholders in the current economy and also in the economy of the world. Okay. So I tried to redefine that's the topic from remodeling the 21st century. Like I said, it's amazing, it's great, but I try to simplify it so that we are very clear of what we're looking at. And the simplest rephrase I could come up with was the nurse with a voice in the global economy. Like I said earlier on, to be a stakeholder in any organization, it means you have a voice, and not just having a voice, but your voice is relevant, your voice is useful, and your voice is something that is taken into consideration when it comes to decision making, when it comes to making an impact, or when it comes to making changes either in your organizations or in the community where you find yourself. So the nurse with the voice, and again, the X factor. So when I said the X factor, what do I mean? So the X factor is just all about an astounding and extraordinary ability. It means, yeah, I'm a nurse, okay, great. There are several nurses in the world. There are nurses every day. The world keep producing nurses. But what is that thing that makes me astounding? What is that thing that makes me extraordinary ability? Because whether you like it or not, unless you have something that is outstanding and extraordinary, forget about being a stakeholder in your economy. No matter the stories or hymns that we sing, without being astounding and extraordinary, forget the game. Because ordinarily, your profession, sorry to say this, is not a profession that automatically is regarded as a main stakeholder. We know we sing about it, nurses are the, oh yeah, this and that, but ordinarily, practically, the nurses are not automatically accepted as the main stakeholder when it comes to strategy implementation, when it comes to the world changes. So for us now as nurses to be relevant, okay, what do we need to do? We need to be astounding and we need to be extraordinary with our ability. So when we have an astounding and extraordinary ability, it allows us to not just match those stereotypes or forgo those stereotypes that the world have had over time, but it also allows us to be able to have a meaningful contribution and acceptance in the society. So someone will ask, why do I need the X factor? Why do I need the X factor? You know, like I said, when I was saying to this gentleman, I told him, for you as a nurse to be relevant, you need the X factor. You need to have an astounding and extraordinary ability. And I was using my life again as a story. I did not ordinarily start my career as a nurse. When I was growing up, I always wanted to be a doctor. I was clever in school, so I succeeded in going into medical school. I was actually studying to be a doctor. I was in my 4th year when I quitted, not because I wasn't clever. I was actually one of the best in my medical school days. So when I was going into my pre-MBs. So I passed my grade, everything great, but I realized that I wasn't actually meant for the hospital room. You know how African parents behave. You can't tell your dad you're a qualified doctor and then you don't practice. It's as if they will say it's as if someone is after you. So I realized that the only way for me to be able to change the narrative was to drop out of medical school. That might sound stupid, but it was a plan, it was an intention. And so after then, I realized, obviously being the father, I've done a few years. The only degree that could have made sense for me, being the father, I've already spent 3-4 years in medical school, was to do something in line in medicine. And I went forward and I graduated as a biomedical scientist, and I got a BSc in biomedical scientist, and also I then had a master's in biomedical science. So then my interest was, how do I still, with those degrees, the biomedical science as a degree was just because I needed to have a degree. But the intention was, how do I be one of those people who are stakeholders, who revolutionize when it comes to making a meaningful impact? Who does that? I looked at the doctors I knew. Obviously in the UK, maybe things might be different. Then I was in Nigeria. I looked at the doctors I knew, including the ones who were supposed to be my mentor, who owned the private hospital. I said, this is not actually what the word impact I'm talking about is. And he was doing the best he can for himself, had a hospital, obviously maybe a local hospital, but all that. But it was not making the word impact that I thought I was created for. So I thought, you know what, this actually might not be the pathway. So at that time, I still was navigating through what life was all about. How do I become a useful partaker when it comes to holding stake in this world global economy that we're talking about? So obviously I came to the UK. I did all my degrees, biomedical science, master's biomedical science in the UK. Was working with the NHS and for a while as a biomedical scientist. Then there was this incident that happened one day. I visited the hospital in Newham, for those of us that live in London, and the trust was East London Foundation Trust. Like I said, I'm going to be very practical, so our guys understand these secrets that can make you an extraordinary person when it comes to being a meaningful stakeholder. So when I went in, there was a friend of mine. He was a hospital director, and he was in charge of Newham. It was a mental health hospital, psychiatric hospital, and he was in charge of that hospital as a director, a borough director. And then obviously I was a biomedical scientist, and obviously I have doctors as friends as well, who obviously we started medical school together, and now they graduated. So while we're in that meeting, and there's something I realized, that he started playing at the level that was strategic, in the sense that being a borough director, he was involved in policy making, he was involved in making a budget management and creation, and so many other things. And the first question I asked him was, why? Like, what was it like? What did you do? Why? What has been your pathway? How did you get to this situation, this level where you are now a main stakeholder when it comes to the trust, East London Foundation Trust? And one thing he told me was, being a nurse have been that thing that have changed and revolutionized my life, and being a nurse gave me the opportunity. And I couldn't marry being a nurse then to being a borough director. It didn't make sense to me. And be honest to you, nursing was the last thing, or if you want to use the right word, there's no one in this world that would have convinced me to do nursing. No way, because there's no way I can leave medical school and now you are going to it's going to appear as if you're mad. Leave medical school and now you are wanting to be a nurse. It doesn't make sense to any human. It doesn't even make sense to me as I say it now. But then I realized that the pathway where he is at the moment, he said, you know what, being a nurse gave me the opportunity to be this borough director I am, and actually understudied him. And I realized actually he became a borough director because he was a nurse. And the trust only allows nurses to hold some certain kind of position. And also in the UK, the nurses are players when it comes to direct patient care. So nurses that knows how to navigate themselves into senior management are useful, because we have very limited nurses who play in that level. A lot of nurses in the UK, you know, when you're a doctor, everybody have that ego. Oh, we're doctors, we can do this. But nurses, unfortunately, we're in a world where you have people who go into nursing because maybe they didn't succeed as being doctors. I'm just being practical. Or you have nurses who fell in because they love the profession. Or you have nurses who don't even know why they're nurses. They just went in because they want to make money. So then because of that, you realize that you don't have a lot of them who are inspirational, who wants to be known as main stakeholders. And a few who do are relevant. That's okay, fine. That might actually be the need. I need to be in a sector where there is not a lot of people who are making tremendous impact. So maybe if I'm a nurse that is exceptional, if I'm a nurse that I've got the X factor, that means I should be able to play in the game. So that's how I went into nursing. Again, like I said, I already was holding a master's in biomedical science, being successful at the band 8 level as a biomedical scientist. And I left that profession, went back into uni. And the good thing was the UK allows you to do a master's in nursing. I went to King's College then, to do a master's in nursing, and you become a qualified nurse with license. It was 2 years program, intensive. I did that, then I became a nurse. Remember the purpose. Now I'm talking about the X factors, the 3 Ps. Why the X factor? Why do I need it? The 3 Ps. So I had a purpose. So my purpose of nursing was not to go and stay and be treating or become a bedside nurse. No, I had a channel. Okay, I wanted to be a main stakeholder in the industry, and I knew that to be a main stakeholder, it might even be better if I go through a profession that is not obviously glamorized, but become exceptional and extraordinary. That's why I went into nursing. So went to nursing, qualified, obviously bedside nursing, did that for, I'm not sure, I was within 6 months of being a band 5, I became a band 6, band 7. I was very quick with progression. And the reason was because I knew what I wanted. Why I was in band 5, most of the borough directors were friends, not because political, but because I was someone who was very keen with actually being able to make relationships that are meaningful and humility and service. So then at that stage, I started to think, actually, one of the things I ever wanted to do going to nursing was not just to be a main stakeholder in the private sector, but also was to be a main stakeholder in the public sector. In the NHS, obviously, when you look at the medical model of care, that's how the NHS operates, healthcare nurses, then you realize that the question I started asking myself was, okay, fine, every healthcare professionals are functioning at the level they function, but who are these people who commission care? Who are these people who actually make decisions? So how can I go back to Nigeria and become someone that is relevant? Going to Nigeria, if you go to Nigeria and tell a governor you are a nurse, ordinarily it doesn't make it, they don't see, I'm just being practical. There are some professions that when you come with, every commissioner of health in Nigeria, for instance, automatically is normally first preferred to be a medical doctor. A minister of health in Nigeria is automatically, ordinarily first preferred to be a medical doctor. So the question was, how do we change the narrative? How do I go to a country where at the end of the day, nurses are not kind of like taken as the high main stakeholders when it comes to this economy that we're trying to create, or being an economy that we're trying to make better? And what I brought to mind was, fine, I'm in the NHS at the moment. I actually grew very fast, like I said, in the NHS. But again, at this stage, I wasn't doing anything for money. Okay, if I was doing anything for money, there's no way I would have left a band 8 nurse, a band 8 biomedical science role and all that research roles and started thinking about nursing. So one thing I want to say to you guys here is you need to be purposeful about why are you in nursing. Be very clear. Forget the gymnastics and everything. Be very clear. Some people are in nursing. If you're in for the money, trust me, I can show you how to make money with nursing without stress, if that's why you're in nursing. If you're in nursing and again, once you have money, also having money is a way of being a main stakeholder, because that is an economic power. Okay, if you have money, you can build hospitals, you can build anything. That means you are playing in the field. So if money is your purpose, there is a way to go about it. And if you want to be like a stakeholder when it comes to making decisions that is relevant in policy making, there is also a way about it. So you have to be very clear, why am I in nursing? Okay, so at that stage, I realized, okay, fine, I've done what I need to do in the NHS, and then, how do I go into public sector? Then I left my high-paying job in the NHS, and I went into the local authority and started looking into how do I become a commissioner in the UK? So people don't think that way, but how do I? I realized that for you to do that in local authority, the adult health and social care budget holders, people who manages it, they tend to have a background of social care for some weird reasons. Most of the commissioners I've seen are like, they always have a social care background, social workers, although you have a few are nurses. So then the local authority I went into, they've never in their history had a nurse as a commissioner, never in their history. And I went in there, and the only strategy for me to be able to have keyed into that local authority was I looked into the complex care team. What complex care team is that the the local authority provide budget to manage people that have disability. So there's a department called the complex care. Complex care is basically people that have disabilities, complex ones. So it made sense that someone who has a nursing background is in that team as a commissioner, is in the council as a commissioner, so that they can support the complex care need. But yeah, then first of all, I identified the niche. I had a purpose, identified the niche, and like the need was to I could go into the commissioning, managing complex care, because obviously I have a nursing background. And the next question was, now you're going into that. If you're going to go into direction, everybody that you're going to manage, they are going to be social workers. Obviously, a commissioner, everybody that's managing the budget are social workers, because a nurse will not be given a budget for local authority to manage. So what did that mean? At the end of the day, to cut the story short, I went in, got the job, and I was left with managing social worker. I've never been used to social model of care. I had to go back and start studying. I didn't have to go back and do a social work degree, but I had to start studying and equip myself to meet up with that purpose. So to meet up with that new assignment. So purpose. Why am I in nursing? It has to be very clear to you. It has to be very clear to you why you're in nursing. To some of us, it's automatically clear because you had a direction, you had a mentorship. Why for some of us, it's not clear for you at the moment. And if it's not, go back, take your drawing book, sit down, think, look at the people around you. Why am I a nurse? That's your first question, okay? And then when you're able to define purpose, then even when you're creating your X factors, okay? Your X factors we're talking about that you need is in line with the purpose that you've chosen. No, everyone always talk about go and do professional certification. It's irrelevant to do professional certification if you don't know your purpose. That's the truth. No matter how you feed a bird, it can never fly like an eagle. That's just the truth. So you need to know, what am I made for? If I'm a nurse that want to grow and become a band aid nurse, a director, so there's a way for that. If I'm a nurse that want to be a nurse that want to be a disruptor when it comes to global economy, policy making, there's a way for that. If I'm a nurse that want to be seen in government, in politics, there's a way for that. I will share some of these case studies because, like I said, I'm going to be very practical. So your purpose is very useful. So why the X factor again? Power. The word power. Honestly, to you, power is very important, okay? And in the world we are now, if you're going to be a stakeholder in the economy, you have to have power. Nobody listens to anybody that doesn't have power, okay? And power could there's kind of diverse areas where you could exhibit power, but I try to streamline it to economic power and political power. So, but economic power, what I'm referring to there is you being financially wealthy, being rich. That's what I mean, okay? A nurse that is rich, that is wealthy, that got money, will be regarded as a high stakeholder when it comes to making some policies, when it comes to making some policies in terms of contributing to a project, than a medical doctor that has nothing to add to anything. So if you want to be relevant, you need to look at ways where you can increase your economic power. But no, remember that before now, one of the reasons why nurses were not respected was because they were seen as church rats, people that don't have money, people that don't have income. So if for instance, you want to be regarded, and the reason why, if you look at the company, you say this person is the highest shareholder. So because they have the highest shareholder, they have the highest voice when it comes to voting. And the reason behind that is simple. Shareholding is not just the word shareholding, it's about money. They own the highest share. When the assets are sold, they are left with a high amount of money to make decisions. So they owns the highest share because shares are tradable. So power as a nurse, economic power. So even if you are a nurse that is working day and night to make money, you should ask yourself, why am I making this money? Okay, why? What's the purpose? What power is it giving? What influence? What difference am I trying to make with the income I'm making? So power is important. Economic power, you have to have economic power as a nurse that must be able to make a difference when it comes to representation in this world that we are. Unfortunately, like I said, the nursing profession is a profession that is disadvantaged by the way it is being seen. Then now the question is, how do we be in the limelight when it comes to decision? I don't have the whole money in the world, but I must say to you, there are decisions I've been able to influence because at least I have some certain level of income. Okay, so when you are those nurses, and also I have friends that have been able to influence decisions because they have some power when it comes to economic power. So if you're a nurse that does not have an economic power, no matter the ideas you are, I'm sorry to say, at some level it will play, but at some level it becomes very relevant. Then political power. Who told you a nurse cannot be at the helms of affair of politics? And when you are not at anything that happens in life, in this world that we are in now, no matter how good the economy is going to be, it's influenced by politics. So the question is, who are those nurses that have got the X factors to blame politics? Am I there? So am I there to be useful? I have a friend of mine, Hassan. Hassan is currently now the deputy governor of Zamfara state. I think, if I'm not mistaken. So Hassan is a nurse by background, and he started years ago as a nurse in his local community. And over time, he realized that, for me to be, he saw the vision of the future that I want to be someone that have power in my community, and to have power, I need to be part of politics. He didn't have a godfather. He didn't have anyone that pushed him there. So what did he use? He used his nursing profession. He was a nurse, and he told me, Malvis, what I started to do was, I knew I was a nurse that wasn't rich, but I started providing support to my local community in the ways I can, doing free services, just doing things. Then he became useful. He became an eligible candidate for power. So it came to a time he joined the political party when they were looking to nominate someone to be something. Every party looks for a candidate sellable. And they saw him, and he became, by going into legislation, he went into the Senate. He's been in the Senate now for more than 12 years. And I was speaking to him last week, trying to call him for a project in the Senate we were planning. And he told me, what, Malvis, they just made me a deputy governor a few weeks ago when they took away one of their deputy governor. I was current deputy governor. And he's a nurse who over time understood that he needed some power in the political sphere to disrupt things in the nursing, in the economy as a nurse. We were looking to pass a bill in Nigeria recently. We're talking about the nurses, the current way nurses are treated, the pay or whatever. And the only way we could do that was somebody to represent us in the Senate. And Alhaji Hassan was the only person that could do that, although at the moment the bill have not been accepted. So he went, the nursing council registrar has a good liaison. When he wants to talk about anything, oh, how can we get Nigeria to respect nurses? He will speak to Alhaji Hassan, because Alhaji Hassan is someone that he has as a voice in the Senate. So forget the stories of being, well, to be a stakeholder, you have to meaningfully identify the role you want to play. Where are you playing and how are you playing in that direction? So I'm using this example. These are not people who obviously one day woke up and said, oh yeah, I became successful, I'm a player now in the field, but people who took time to understand what it takes to be a main stakeholder when it comes to the global economy. And they decided obviously to be these X factors. So the extra factors. So for him, power was needed. And he decided to go in the line of political power, build it over time. Obviously, he is in Nigeria, and at the same time, he's making that meaningful change and impact because of that. So the third P, I call it the 3 Ps. The third P there is presence. So why do you need the X factor? Presence. I'm being honest with you. I'm a nurse. I'm first seen a nurse. I'm not a doctor, obviously, medical doctor. In Nigeria, when I go into introduce myself, they see me as a nurse, obviously as a biomedical scientist as well. But that does not even come into play because I didn't even do anything about biomedical at the moment, apart from the diagnostic lab that we've just built in Ikeja. That's the only project I've done in biomedical science. But saying that, when I go to these commissioners who are all doctors, okay, they seem have a presence. So I present when they're having the Nigerian Governors Forum, which is made up of, Nigerian Governors Forum. There is an arm of it that is led by the commissioners. All the commissioners of head, they attend agendas. When I go in there, they list it. Basically, the commissioners, I'm not trying to be egoistic, but they respect me. I don't chase them. They actually chase me sometimes. The reason is because they see my presence. And why do they see my presence? Because they've seen my relevance. So having the X factor gives you a presence. And how did I capture this presence? When I was again the commissioner of health years ago in the UK, one of the things I did in that position was I was trying to say, okay, now I'm a commissioner. Yeah, what does it mean? It's not about the role, but I was looking at how can I influence how can I be a more partaker in the economy? How can I be more useful? So what I started to do then was to bring other commissioners from Nigeria. I started holding commissioners forum, which I was spending my money on, investment. So the government here was not paying. I will pay for a Nigerian commissioner to fly to the UK. I will host them with the money I've covered from shift as a nurse. Okay, no, sorry, now as a commissioner while I was working. Okay, and it wasn't that much. I wasn't paid £1 billion, but I was paying something that is enough to live. But I was investing that money to host people who were useful. So you can't tell me that you've seen this guy who obviously is having this position in the UK, he funds us, he funds our trip, and then don't expect me to have presence. I've done a few projects in Nigeria. I think Prince might be able to recognize some of these. Where we had a project in Abuja recently, I was hosting about 25 commissioners of health from different states. I paid for all their flight, I paid for their hotel, and I actually paid them an attending allowance. Not because I had all the money in the world, but I was creating a presence. I was making them understand, you need me, I don't need you. A presence. Okay, presence is painful. To have a presence, you don't wake up and say you don't demand presence. You don't demand your presence. No. Oh yeah, I'm here. Can everybody know I'm here? No, nobody listens to that. So as a nurse in this century, to be a main stakeholder, you must look at how could I create a presence. You must not create it in the ways I've just talked about, but in what I do, how can I create a presence? I've talked about Alhaji Hassan, who started as a little nurse in his community, providing free healthcare service. He had a presence when it was needed to appoint a delegate to go into the legislation. He was chosen because the party knew he was a sellable candidate. Okay, people loved him already. Create a presence. You must be known. So that's what the X factor does for you. When you appear in the place, you should have a presence. Honestly speaking to you, a nurse that does not have purpose, power, and presence, forget about stakeholding. Okay, you can exist as a nurse, but forget about being a main stakeholder. Fine, you will be a stakeholder, like I said, and in the beginning, everybody is a stakeholder. Stakeholder means you are part of it. Whether you like it or not, nurses will always be part of the whole process in healthcare. So you are already a stakeholder. But I'm talking about being a main stakeholder, a relevant stakeholder whose position counts, who has a voice. Okay, that's what I mean. You need to know your purpose, your power, and also know your purpose, understand the necessity of power and the necessity of presence. When you actually be able to capture all this, then you understand why you cannot exist as a nurse and not having the X factor, which obviously are classified as the 3 Ps. Trying not to go more than the time I have. Okay, so now the question is, I've been talking about the purpose, power, and presence, the X factor. How do I get this? The question is, how do I get there? Honestly speaking to you, I am where I am now, not because I had a godfather, not because somebody gave me a billion pounds in the world. If I tell you my story coming to the UK, some of you will laugh. I did some petty jobs that I'm not sure some of you will ever have done when I came to the UK. Not because I didn't come from a background that could support, but I always had this intention and plan that, you know what, I should be self-made. I should not, my story needs to be able to, I should be able to tell and relate my story as a story that can actually help people to become whoever they want to be. So what do I need to do? How do I have these X factors you're talking about? Like I've talked about, you're a nurse already, but you're a nurse that needs the X factor. And what do I mean by the X factor? Going back again, outstanding and extraordinary ability to cause changes, ability to give meaningful contribution. And then I then talk about the 3 Ps, which is the why the X factors. And I want to talk about how do I get this X factor. The first one is self-discovery. Self-discovery. So, like I said, for some of us, it's easy. Some of us already know why we did nursing, and some of us don't know. That's the truth of the matter. A nurse came to my office 2 days ago, and the reason why this gentleman did nursing is he's been doing care worker for a long time and needed to get more pay. Okay, nurse will give me more pay, and she was in nursing for 25 years, not progressing. That was, so to me, that was crazy. That was wastage of time for her, because she didn't really discover herself and knew who she was, but she was just existing in that profession, which some people do. They exist in the profession. Okay, but the question is, have you discovered yourself as a nurse? Okay, why did I go into nursing? When you discover yourself, you'll be able to use your degree to make an influence in any other sphere of the economy. I'll give you a recent case study. I had a lady who came to me and she gave me 2 reasons. She said, you know what, Dr. Malvis, after my meeting with you, I've gone back to think to realize that I've discovered who I really was. I'm somebody that, number one, I love money. That was the first thing she told me. I love money. I want to have so much money. I want to be able to use money to impact my community. I want to do a lot of charitable things. I want to go back to my town and build a free healthcare. She had amazing ideas. I said, great. Number one, you know what, okay, you are thinking, you know, you have a direction. But number 2, he said, I'm also someone who wants to be able to make an impact in an organizational process. I said, okay, fine. Number 1, money, you love it. Number 2, you want to be someone who makes who gets involved when it comes to process build up. Being a bedside nurse would never have made that. There's no way you being a band 5 nurse, you can't go and tell the NHS now the policy that nobody will listen to it. That's just the truth. They could take your feedback. Obviously, we take nursing survey and feedback to make changes, but policy makers or people who make the high level decisions are people who should have some certain level of skill. When she came to me, I told her, you know what, you are in the wrong profession. You've been the bedside nurse for 15 years. You are doing the wrong thing. So I looked at the different careers, and at the end of the day, we had discussion. I looked at the skills she had, and I advised her to become a healthcare business analyst. And as I'm speaking to you now, over time, she started that process. In terms of money, she's earning about £1,000 a day, which is for those of you who can go and do research. Business analyst, when you are a healthcare business analyst, you are as a contractor, you are paid daily. She's making close to £1,000 a day, and then that helping her to achieve that money. Okay. Secondly, as a business analyst, you are the one that creates the roadmap, the process map for the healthcare designation. NHS have business analysts. Obviously, some of them are not highly paid as employed, but when you go into contracting, you earn quite a lot, from 550, 450 a day up to 1,000. So she discovered herself, and that allowed me to be able to give her the direction to go. And now she's a fulfilled nurse. She's still a nurse, contributing her own take into the system because she discovered herself, self-discovery. Don't do what everybody is doing. Don't start going to be motivational because you see Prince Way is doing motivational speaking, or you see somebody, you know who you are, okay? Just know who you are. Don't do things because somebody is doing it. Do it because of what you like, what you enjoy. I didn't go into the profession because I love money, because I have to take so many sacrifices to get to where I am. But the good news is when you are a major player in whatever area you choose, money must come. That's just the truth. But some of the pathways will require financial sacrifice. But if you're somebody that obviously that money is just first of all your intention, you might not be able to go through some pathways. So self-discovery, who am I? What are my aspirations? What are my needs? The mentorship. Mentorship, you can never override it. One of the ways of becoming successful easily is to go to somebody who have already succeeded. Like I've just told you, a lady that came to me becoming a healthcare business analyst. There are people I mentor. So there are some things that somebody have taken 35 years, 40 years to learn. And that if they choose to mentor you, automatically you acquire those things in less than a year or even less than a few months. Because that person is giving a wealth of knowledge, the mistakes is made, and whatever things they've been able to acquire over time, they pass it across to you. So you need to be able to have a good mentorship. Some mentorship are free. Some people could choose a mentor they don't even see and understudy that mentor. That one works, but it's not 100% very effective. Or you could have a mentor who you know physically, you talk to the person agrees to mentor you, and then they share experiences and skills with you. And also, they are paid mentorship. So I always say to people, when you choose a mentor, don't always be looking for free things. You might choose a mentor who might not want you to pay, but pay them indirectly. Because somebody that you pay for their time will want to do more, okay? So for instance, I've had some mentors, people I mentor sometimes, or let me talk about the people that mentor me. There are times where some of them, I've given the mentor of my money and he told me, what are you doing? He got upset that we almost got into a fight. Why should you give me money? So, but then what did I didn't say, oh yeah, I'm happy. This mentor said he does not need my money. I'm so happy now, I'm not going to spend any of my money. But what do I do? When it's Christmas, I pay for his trip overseas, before he knew it, he tells me I want to go for this trip. I pay for it. And he can't avoid, there are some things he could not resist or refuse. I still spend my resources on him indirectly. Okay. And now he can't see my call coming and don't pick it because he doesn't see me as a liability. So some of you choose mentors and you become a liability to them. Trust me, everyone is busy. Even those mentors you choose. For them to value you, be ready to invest, okay? Directly or indirectly. Just to say that, but you need a mentor. Find a mentor. And when finding a mentor, don't just look at somebody who have succeeded. Look at somebody that is in line with yourself that you've discovered. Okay? Like I was talking about Hassan, for instance. If there's a nurse that saying, you know what, I think I want to go the way of Hassan, for instance. Where Hassan was a nurse, he provided a free service, he then went into the politics. I'm interested in politics. So you find a nurse who is in that sphere. Okay? Then if, for instance, you find that you want to make a nurse who is a business analyst or a healthcare a business disruptor, and then you want to be somebody that wants to make a difference in politics, you won't succeed because that nurse does not have the skills and the experience to help you. So mentorship in line with the self that you've discovered. There's self-investment. Okay, you have to invest in yourself in line with yourself that you've discovered. What do I mean? I heard the other lady talking about branding, purpose, and all the stuff. The thing is, by the time you know yourself, you have to invest in things that will make you a better person. Okay? If, for instance, give you a case study. I just told you that I decided to be a player when it comes to policy making, talking to politicians, in Nigeria. I wanted to be that person who is relevant when it comes to the government. And what did I need to do that? I know that to do that, I needed to have good cars. To do that, I needed to wear good clothes. To do that, I needed to make them see me as an asset rather than liability. So I ended up investing my money in them rather than me going. I've never wanted to seek for. I don't go and beg for contract. Principal is here. You can attest to. I don't know. Please give me contract. No. But I bring a need, a value. We did projects sometime in Nigeria where we are making them see we're giving the project of giving the funding, equipment donation of close to 100 million naira. And then we told the government, we are giving equipment close to 100 million naira. We need to get this amount of money back from you. Whatever we are getting back from them, in a way, we're going to use it to meet up with the financial demands or needs that financial investment we've made. But we came with a strategy, which was we are investing. We are not coming here to take. No, self-investment. So invest in the direction that you've chosen for yourself. Don't be seen as a liability. Be seen as an asset. That's the only way you can be a stakeholder in the global economy. Liabilities are people who don't own shares in the company. So a company, when it's declaring its books, it tries to see how it can manage its liability to make sure it does not even crumble the company. So be an asset. Be seen as an asset. Be seen as that nurse that is an asset. Wherever you work, if you work in the NHS, be seen as that nurse who is going to be able to make a meaningful contribution. Wherever your community, wherever area you choose, be seen as an asset. Network. I heard the lady talking about network earlier on. Your association will tell me where you are going in the next 5 years. Okay, I don't need to, when I meet people, honestly, it takes me a day to tell if it's somebody I want to meet again, or if it's somebody I ever want to talk to, because by understanding them, by looking at the people around them, you can't be a champion in your atmosphere and think you have made it. If you are the best in your association, you have a problem. That's the truth. If everybody around you wants to hear you talk, you have a problem. You have a problem. Okay, if your voice is so sweet that everybody around you, you are the one speaking, you are the one people are coming for idea, you are so excited, oh, they come to me, then you have a problem, you have a problem. So you should be able to get to that position where you listen to people. You have a network of people who are way better than you. And not just everybody better than you, in your self-discovery, in the pathway you've chosen. I've got friends who are politicians, who are medical doctors, some are professors, and to be honest with you, in as much they respect me, but in terms of obviously some of the things I do, but I don't play with their words, and I learn so many things from them. There are things that I wouldn't have known in my life. I've never been a political, I've never had any political position before, neither have I. There are some things I've never done in my life, which I only gain by association of network. And from some network relationship requires investment. Okay, you can't just wake up one day and expect now, okay, tomorrow I'm going to call Dr. Malvis, I'll become his friend. It doesn't work like that. Okay, some association network building requires investment. So the question is, if for instance, Dr. Malvis is someone I want to be able to have a relationship, what are those things Dr. Malvis does that I love that I can do so that our path can cross? Okay, I told you yesterday now I went out and had a drink somewhere. There are some things I love to do on socially. They don't always have to be formal. There are some things I do on social. And there are some people, whether you like it or not, anytime we are going out for social talk, they meet me. So that way, there's some kind of some words of wisdom. Okay, because they've been able to identify those things that I love. There are some people, for instance, they know the kind of conference I will go for. They don't go for all conferences. I don't go for all conferences. I don't go for all training. No matter how exciting, I'll be giving so many funding. I don't just go for training because it's important. No. Okay, I go for training because it's in line with my self-discovery. And there are some people who basically are paid to attend on training because they know they'll meet me in that place. They know the kind of things I like. Okay, I've told you how I started becoming relevant in Nigeria healthcare sphere. They used to hold Commissioners Forum. Commissioners Forum is a forum where you have all the Commissioner of Health meeting. There's no way I would have written letter from the UK. I want to meet a commissioner. Maybe they will use 10 years that I would never have met anyone. But I looked for an opportunity to be part of their forum. And utilizing the opportunity, when they saw me as somebody who could actually attend our forum, that automatically means that the respect came immediately because whoever attended that commissioner forum was somebody that was relevant. So now you see commissioner calling and we're discussing, and I don't need to chase them because I identified my network by going for the things they love to do. It does not have to be so formal and practical. It does not have to be book. It does not have to be academic. What do they love? If there are people that love playing football. When I went to Lagos recently, I was like, you know what, I think in Lagos, my network is not strong enough. What do I do? What do I do? So a friend of mine told, you know what, all these top level guys, they play golf. Why don't you go and register for golf? I was like, okay. So we went to Ikoyi Golf Club and they told me, you know what, you need to condition, there's this amount of money you have to pay. It was quite a huge amount of money in the Nigeria conversion sense. And also at the same time, you have to have somebody that will refer you. Two things I didn't have. I didn't have anybody that was playing golf in Lagos. And also at the same time, I have the money, but to me, I think it would have been better to give that money to charity than to pay that money as a registration fee because I don't live in Lagos. I won't be playing golf every single time. But the purpose was I needed to have a place to meet this network I'm looking for, what's their interest. So immediately I did my research, I realized that they actually are golfers. I paid. Okay, and now when we go, we play. So the discussions we had, I would never have had. I would never have been able to go to their houses. So what am I trying to say to you? Network. When people tell you build network, it's not just about saying build network. Be intentional about your network building and also be ready to make self-investment into these things because you don't get there without these things being done. The last one, charitable contributions. I decided to make sure that I don't take this away because it's very important. You can't expect to be seen or create a meaningful presence without being someone who gives. Okay, I'm not trying to preach now. I'm not a preacher. I will tell you give and you receive, but I'm trying to make you know that there is an importance for you to know that when you are somebody who is seen as an asset, those charitable stuff, you are ordinarily seen as somebody who is a value. I've given you an example of Alhaji Hassan, for instance. All his life, the reason why he's where he is, he gave me the story. So maybe that was just the only reason. The reason why I'm useful is because I made charitable contribution. He did not have to go to the bank and borrow 1 billion. He used his nursing skill as charitable contribution. People were giving birth free, people were doing this free. And he became an asset in that community. It took him time, but now he was been a senator for more than 12 years and now he's a governor. He's a deputy governor. Who knows, he might become the next governor of his state. So I also myself, when I was going into the Nigerian space, I did not have connection. For those of pretty sure I've worked with us, you'll be able to attest it. I was not someone that his father is the politician or the greatest man or whatever. I did not go in with political godfatherism. I went in with charitable contributions. What can I give? That was my topic, my motto. Whenever I'm making a state, I'm giving. Okay? So when you see someone who gives, whether you like it or not, you'll be refilled, and you'll be seen as an asset. So in a nutshell, whatever area you choose, I'm not saying you should go and start contributing your monthly salary to one cause or whatever, but you have to be someone that is seen as charitable, either in your local community, in the people around you, your friends. Okay, no friend or no mentor want to associate with somebody who is a liability. I've told you, for instance, my mentors, there are some of them that can't avoid picking my call. Immediately even ring once, they pick. Because in as much they told me they don't like some things, but trust me, I invest in them. There's nobody that doesn't like free things. So there are sometimes I wake up, I want to travel, somebody tells me, no, I paid for your flight. I'm so excited. There's no one that doesn't like to be looked after. There's no one that doesn't appreciate. They might tell you they don't want it, but trust me, they do. Okay? Charitable contribution in your own little ways. In your own little way. It could be the fact that you mentor junior nurses. It could be the fact that you share free, but everything must not be paid for. People must not access you. I know you just for money, if you get what I mean. You should be seen as somebody that has value. And over time, it's going to help you acquire those X factors. So, just a minute. So I've talked about self-discovery, I've talked about mentorship, I've talked about self-investment, I've talked about network, I've talked about charitable contributions. But just to round off my presentation, like I said, I was trying to keep this in 30 minutes. You can be a major player, a major stakeholder in the world global economy. It is very possible. But for you to achieve that, you have to be very intentional, okay? Very intentional about this. And like I said, you will need the X factor as a nurse. Again, if I was speaking to medical doctors, I'll speak to them in a different way because again, they already have some certain level of ways they play in the economy. But as a nurse, you need to make sure that you are seen as one that got the X factor and that is making a meaningful contribution to play as a major stakeholder. Thank you. So does anyone have any question?
Well done, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much for a very wonderful session, Sha. Sir, we really appreciate you. Thank you so much. We know you have so much to tell us, and it's really wonderful and really enlightening. Okay, time is really fast spent. I think we have just one question. We'll take on just one question, and then we'll have your final words, and then we can proceed to the next session. Okay, a quick question. Say for a nurse that has interest in nursing leadership and management, what's the best pathway for such, especially for a nurse working with the NHS? Are you there, sir?
I'm here. So a nurse that is interested in leadership and management in the NHS. So now the question is this, in the UK, if you are in the UK, there are different levels of healthcare management. There are those who want to go in the public and there are those who want to go in the private. So NHS is public. So there are people who we've trained, they've acquired nurses, and then they've left the NHS and go into private sector of leadership and management. So both pathways require different strategies. So if you're a nurse that want to grow the question is, do you want to grow from band 5, band 6, band 7, band 8? There is a way you achieve that. If you are there a nurse that want to be a leader, okay, that want to have healthcare leadership, obviously more in the general business sense, there's also a pathway. But in general, what we advise is, if you are someone that is interested in leadership, 2 things you need to build: be very clear by your direction. Where am I? Which leader? Leadership is broad. Where do I want to be a leader? Okay, if it's the NHS, fine. Try to find mentors, people who are already leaders in those directions. If it's in the private sector, try to find people who are already managers or leaders in that direction. And once you found them, then number 2 is start carrying out self-investment. Attend leadership and management courses. The first thing is not leadership and management courses. There are people who have attended 1 billion leadership and management courses and they are nowhere. So the first thing is to know your direction and meet up with people who are there. I had somebody who just became a band 8 nurse and they've never had any leadership. So they've not actually done any professional qualification in leadership management like the level 5, but they got there because they had a network who kind of over time helped them achieve that level in the NHS framework. So yeah, identify someone who is currently in that pathway of what you want to achieve, then also carry out self-investment when it comes to attending professional programs and training that will help you strengthen your strength when you actually attain those that level.
Okay, thank you very much. That's been so wonderful. It's been a very wonderful session with you. We heard Nurse Princely say you're one of his mentors, or in fact, you're a big mentor of his, so we can actually believe that because Princely himself can speak for 10 hours straight uninterruptedly, and you yourself, you've actually demonstrated the same thing too. So we can officially say father, not father. Thank you so much for a very wonderful session. We really appreciate you. Do you have any final words for us before we proceed?
Okay, my final word will be this. Please, the purpose of such sessions are not just for us to waste on the Saturday. Like today, I was supposed to be somewhere having a nice meal, which I'm still going to go for, which I guess some of you are in your other social activities you have done. But the purpose of such session, making that time, is that at the end of the day, you can go back and revisit and say, I want to have a section on this day that changed my life all around. So in next time, I want to be having such engagement. I want to be having those testimonies of people who have made meaningful impact, who are major stakeholder players in whatever area they've chosen to go by. And we kind of also advise that from today henceforth, try to be intentional about being a major stakeholder. Don't just say it, do it because you hear it, but be intentional about it. And I wish you all the best in this journey. Thank you.